Wondering if the Rivelia makes legit coffee? In this video, we'll find that out. I'll be testing it to see if it uses the right amount of beans in a cup, or is the coffee actually hot enough? Does it make legit froth? This is gonna be fun. Been waiting to do this for a while now. Okay, let's get to it. Now, to know how much beans it uses to make a cup of coffee, we need to measure the puck. But the weight of the puck doesn't actually directly tell us how much coffee was used to make a drink, because it also contains water. So we have to find out how much coffee was used to make this puck. And to do that, we need to do a little bit of measuring and a bit of math. So I did that by grinding 50 grams of beans, emptied the grinder and the pulp bin, made a bunch of espressos, collected all the pucks it made, weighed them, and I got 108 grams of puck, which means for every gram of puck, 46.3% of that, or about half, is coffee beans. So for example, if this puck weighs 20 grams, that would mean it used 9.26 grams of coffee beans. So okay, how much beans does the Rivelia use to make a cup of coffee? $8.8 grams. So that means for the Rivelia to make this cup of coffee, it used 8.8 grams of coffee beans. However, we're just getting started. With the Rivelia, you actually have the option to make your coffee weaker or stronger, which means you can make coffee that uses less or more than 8.8 grams of beans. And you can do that with this intensity panel right here, which has 5 intensity levels. So I think it's a good idea to measure how much coffee is used in each level. Now we already know the third level because that's the one we did earlier, which is 8.8 grams. So now we just need to see how much coffee is used in the other 4 levels. Intensity 1. So that's 105. So the puck weighs 15 grams. So that means intensity level 1 uses 6.9 grams of coffee beans. Intensity level 2. So that's 108, which means the puck weighs 18 grams, which means the intensity level 2 uses 8.3 grams of coffee beans. Intensity level 4. So that's 111. So that means this puck weighs 21 grams, which means intensity level 4 uses 9.7 grams of coffee beans. Now intensity level 5. That's 112 grams, which means this puck weighs 22 grams, which means intensity level 5 uses 10.2 grams of coffee beans. So that's how much beans the Rivelia uses to make a cup of coffee. But we're not done yet, because when you swap between hoppers, you also have the option to make a cup of coffee from the remaining beans in the burr. So I'll also measure that. That's 108. Not bad. So that means this puck is 18 grams. So that means if you do grind and empty when you swap between hoppers, you'll make a coffee that's made from 8.3 grams of beans. So as to the question of does the Rivelia use the right amount of beans in a cup? I'd say so. That's pretty good, because the standard from looking at the internet is like 6 to 9, and it definitely delivers from the weakest to the strongest amount that it can give. So yeah. So now let's see if the Rivelia makes coffee that's hot enough. Now you can actually increase or decrease the temperature of your drink. It has 3 temp settings. low, medium, and high. So that means I need to measure all three of them. So basically what I plan to do is measure both the coffee and milk temperatures to see if they both heat up the coffee and milk at the same temperatures. And then I will measure the finished drinks, because I noticed when I was measuring the temperatures in the Magnifica Evo, the temperature of the pouring liquid and the drink itself had a significant difference. And of course, the cup temperature would be the more important one, right? We drink from the cup and not from the spout. Now, after testing the temperatures, I found that in terms of the pouring temperature of the coffee itself, it does have an increase from low, medium to high. So it was from 81 and then it's 84 and then it jumps to 87. But in terms of the milk, it kind of stayed the same. It even showed me that in the low temperature setting, it was 74. But then in the medium and the high setting, it remained at 72 both. So there's not much difference there. In terms of the serving temperature, seems like there's not much difference between the low and medium settings, because they're both 6 to 8 degrees, but when you use the high settings, it jumps up to 72. So there is a difference in terms of temperature. So as to the question of, is the coffee hot enough? There's a lot of different opinions about this, but what I noticed is most of the opinions, they go beyond 87% in terms of the pouring temperature of coffee to extract the best flavor of it, because it only goes to 87%, but I can see 90% and above apparently is like the standard temperature. So in that sense, it doesn't use the optimum temperature when pouring coffee in the cup. And in terms of serving temperature though, from what I found, it makes the coffee too hot, because yeah, it seems like most people like their coffee around 55 to like 65 degrees, and the low and medium temperature serves it around 6 to 8 degrees, and if you go high, it's even up to 72 degrees. So yeah, it seems like in terms of the temperature, it serves it too hot. But I guess the recourse would be just not to drink it immediately. So now let's find out if it makes legitimate froth. Well, for one thing I like about it is that you can adjust the frothiness to your liking. You can choose to have no froth, basically just have hot milk, or you can make it frothy and even make it dense. Now, we already know what temperature the Rivelia uses to froth the milk, which is between 72 to 74 degrees, which unfortunately is too hot based on my research. Apparently, the optimum temperature to get the best sweetness of the milk that you're making is between 60 to 65 degrees. So yeah, it's a bit too hot. But I guess the best way to evaluate the froth is to try it out on a drink. So I'll be making a cappuccino, a latte, a macchiato, and a flat white to see if they pass off as your usual cups. And that's your cappuccino. Looking at it, is it dense? Of course. Is it dense enough? I'd say so. It's a nice froth. Yep, just like sticks there, and like there's peaks in the froth. The foam looks thick enough, I think. So now let's see the taste. If there's a distinct separation between the foam and the espresso. You can really feel how hot it is. Its high temperature actually really affects the flavor of it, but yes, I can separate the milk flavor and the espresso flavor, which is good. So if I just give this a few minutes to like cool down, it would be a good drink. And that's your latte. Clearly there's a thinner layer of foam, which is characteristic of latte. Now let's go right ahead to tasting it. It's so hot. I can taste the difference between the cappuccino earlier and from this in terms of blend of the milk and the espresso. So yeah, it's kind of, I cringe when I say this, but it's kind of harmonious. Yeah, I can really taste the coffee going well with the milk. So that's good. And it's still at a high temperature. And that's your macchiato. The foam is dense like a cappuccino, but yeah, it has a pretty good foam. You can tell with the color that it has more espresso on it compared to milk. Now let's taste if I get more of the espresso compared to the cappuccino. Yes, I do taste the espresso more with this cup compared to the cappuccino. So I guess it holds up. Yeah, definitely tastes more of the espresso here. And that's your flat white. And as you can see, there is a thinner layer of foam. It's not as dense as the cappuccino, which is typical of a flat white. Kind of feels like a smaller latte with thicker foam. Now let's give it a taste. It has a nice blend of the milk and the espresso. Reminds me of the latte earlier, but I was expecting it to taste more of the espresso, kind of like the macchiato, because I think that's, from my research, that's what flat white's supposed to be. Like, yeah, a smaller kind of latte, but has the flavor of like a macchiato where you can really taste the espresso. So this one's good in terms of frothiness, but in terms of the taste, doesn't taste like a usual macchiato. But we're testing the froth. I think the froth holds up. Now to answer the question, does it make legit froth? I think it does. And you can select different froth levels, which gives you versatility in terms of the kinds of drinks that you make, which is cool. Yeah, if you want dense, it does give you a nice dense froth. If you want creamy, if you want almost just hot milk, you can do that. So you can make a legit frothed cappuccino, you can make a legit slightly frothed latte, and everything in between. And the froth is so legit, you can make latte art with it. Abstract latte art. Now, if you want to know more about the Rivelia, I've got a lot of videos about it. How to clean it, how to make adjustments, what I love and hate about it. Check them out. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it to someone who might find it useful. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.